Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wadcast Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Ift. That's right. It's me. I'm here. And I don't want you to fast forward. Please do not fast forward to the interview. I have so much to say, and it's so important. These are crazy times. Crazy, wacky. It's out of control. There's a virus. There's the riots. The Crossfit sold. It's nuts. We're all falling apart. You know what? These, more than ever, are times when we need a good old-fashioned troll. Everybody's taking themselves a little too seriously, and we need to get back to some comedy. Nobody likes comedy anymore. When Armin and Scott left the show, before, my job was to come on here and just try to be funny, and every once in a while I'd say something serious, but I just joked around because I felt like CrossFit was way too serious. I still think that. It's just I had an obligation to the listeners to always be, I don't know, try to have like really interesting, informative interviews. And I do those. I do those that more than ever. But the truth is, it's not that fun. There's shit I want to know. And I'm selfish. And I interview people and I'm like, I want to know this. And then I'm like, what about the listener? What do they want to know? And I'm like, and then I do that. But if you really want information about exercise, go to like Mind Pump. They're great. Those guys know what they're doing. It's all they do. It's all they talk about. But like, I'm from the background of stand-up comedy, and right now I've felt like the wall's closing in on me with how much I can't perform. When I do perform, people get upset with what I say, and I don't give a fuck. And in this world of CrossFit, there are people with such fragile egos, especially the former head of the company, whatever. They just, I mean, we know from our past with the show, people just did not like the way we talked. And we got a lot of criticism. And when Kenny was on the show, he got a lot of shit. And Armin got kicked out of the games. And everybody tried to come after me, and I told them to fuck off. And look, we need that shit. I just saw a posting by Ben Smith's dad that was not hilarious, but he made like a really good point. And we all remember drywall, and those were the days. It's fun to poke fun at the powers that be. It's fun. And all I'm saying is, moving forward, I hope Eric Rosa has a really good sense of humor, because I mean no harm. I don't want to destroy his community or his business. I think the world of it. But I'm a comedian, and I'm going to make fun of everything. So just know, Eric, I'm coming for you. It's on paper, he looks wonderful. Looks like a great guy. Looks like a great CrossFitter. Looks like a great businessman. He's got it all. He's got it all. He went to Michigan and Stanford, and he made billions of dollars. But there's got to be chinks in the armor somewhere. We got to find it, and we got to make fun of it. And he's got it all except for hair. Did I just say that? God, what a dick. No, I'm just going to try to poke fun, have fun moving forward, be the show that you guys can listen to. And we talk about the subject that you enjoy, but in a lighthearted, irreverent manner. Even this little intro that I'm doing is so fucking I can't believe I'm doing it. But it's if I don't do this, I might as well just quit. So if you start to notice a little change of the show going back to the old narrative, that's my sweet spot. That's where I have fun. That's where I hope you guys have fun. I hope that's what you're looking for in this show, is an entertaining look at it. I do take some things seriously, and I will continue to, but for the most part, I want to have guests on. I've got some great guests coming up. Margot Alvarez. I've got Noah Olson, and I want to have fun with them, and everybody stop taking yourself so seriously. You're going to die. We all die. We're only here for a short time. We're on a rock out in the middle of space, and we don't know how we got here or where we're going, and nobody understands it. And People believe all kinds of crazy bullshit, from religion to whatever cult they're in, or spirituality, or whatever it is. The bottom line is, we're here for a short time. Enjoy yourself. Have fun, because life's full of suffering and it sucks. It sucks. So make the best of it. And don't take yourself too seriously. In saying that, today's guest, I thought was going to be a really, really interesting conversation. And it still is in context. It's hard to explain, but I talked to David Marshall, who is he's running the Functional Fitness Union. And it's a great concept, and it was a great idea. And then a day later, CrossFit announces they've got, a new owner. And this was a reaction to it. What's going to happen? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Is CrossFit going to just explode and have a resurgence? Is it going to die off? But these guys wanted to create their own answer to the problems they saw. So just take it in context that this conversation went on before CrossFit's announcement. I will repost. This is Thursday that I'm posting this. On Sunday, I'm going to post the Margot Alvarez podcast, and then Monday, I'm going to record Noah Olson and then probably put it up on Tuesday. So they're coming at you. They're coming at you. I'm just going to be firing these ones at you. And I don't know where we're going. I really want to start making this a video podcast. I want to start really making this fun. There's too much to make fun of in the CrossFit community, and I'm not doing a good job of it. And my job is to do that. So I'm gonna really focus on that, and because there's just so much fodder, and I might end up being hated because of the fragile egos. But, and there's 786 podcasts out there. And to be honest, I check your ratings, guys. And so, some of you have like 12 people listening to you. So sorry, not saying that doesn't make your content any good. It just says that your voice isn't amplified that much. So I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just talking to talk right now. It's hard to talk when I have no one talking back at me. So rather than that, I'm going to talk to you about Patreon and how you help the show. You go to patreon.com/Wattcast. Okay? You donate $5 a month. That's it. That's all you have to donate. $5, and you'll get yourself probably a Myopux or a Leopard Claw. Oh, both. You get the Leopard Claw too. Myopux is an electronic muscle stimulator. Leopard Claw is a multi-tool device used to scrape adhesions. It's kind of like a Graston, kind of like a Gua Shui. And it's really nice. It says Wadcast on it. And then the Myopux is like like I said, an electronic muscle stimulator. It's pretty cool. It'll pump your muscle so that your muscle will pump the blood, and it gets you over an injury quicker. So just become a Patreon, and it's really nice. You help out the show. Let's see. Do we have any new Patreon donors that I can thank and send you over? Send you over one. Let's see. Where are you, new Patreons? If I don't have one, that means, what's that tell you? It says, hey, be a new one, and you'll probably win. Okay? How's that sound? Let's see. All right. I'm going to move on and talk to you about the other things involved in the show, and then I'll go back and try to find a Patreon. What is going on is there's news. They pushed the games back again. There is is Cole McFarland one? No. Cole, you already won. Jake Coffey. No. Sorry, Jake. You thought you won, but you didn't. You know who won? Here it is. Renata Novotna. Renata, I apologize if I mispronounce your name. Renata. That looks right. Renata Novotna. Renata Novotna. I would not even be able to guess what country you are writing from. Renata Novotna. That sounds like somewhere like in Russia or something. And Renata, I've never butchered a name this badly in my life. I'm so glad you're winning something and you don't hate me. But that is our winner. Otherwise, you want to help out the show, it's very easily. Go give us a review. I love the reviews. I live for the reviews. I live for them. I love them so much. Somebody just wrote one, and I just like the title. Like I said, go to iTunes, rate, review, comment. We're on more places now. I think you can go, Alexa, play Wadcast podcast. How fucking great is that? We're on Stitcher. We're on Spotify. We're on everything. Every platform that there is, we're on. But iTunes is where you rate, review, and comment. Just go in there. Even if you don't use iTunes, just use it once to do this. Give us a nice review. We ranked, I forget where we ranked in fitness, like 18th the other day in United States in fitness. That's pretty good. Of all the fitness podcasts out there, we ranked 18th in the country. I'd like to move us up. My goal is to be the number one fitness podcast in the world or in the United States. All right. Let's make that happen. All right. And, this one says Eddie Ift is a sexy man child. Thank you. Kilo. I do CrossFit. I didn't know what a kilo is. Kilo Cave or Cave or whatever your name is. I've been listening to the Wadcast for a couple years now. And now that Eddie has taken full control, he never disappoints. Sure I do. Very informative, funny, and down to earth. A good source for all fitness education. P.S. Hunter is my sarcastic spirit animal. Hunter's an asshole. All right. I want to get the show rolling. I wasted your time too much. I just want to let you know things are going to change a little bit around here. And I recorded 2 episodes, so I'm going to start working on the show and thinking of ways to get the show much funnier. Any ideas? I'm welcome. You can reach me at wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. And anyone want to come work with me? I'm looking for maybe some partners on the show. Maybe do some video stuff. Let's grow the show. It's time. It's only been 8-9 years. Maybe it's time we turn this into a serious business. But enjoy this episode with David Marshall from the Functional Fitness Union over there in Great Britain. Enjoy his accent too. He's a Brit, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wadcast podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Ift. I am, I don't know what I'm doing today. It's crazy times in this functional fitness world. And today I have the I don't know. What are you? The CEO? You are the
founder.
The founder of the Functional Fitness Union, David Marshall. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you too, mate.
Hey,
how are you doing?
Thanks for talking to me all the way across the pond. You're where, in London?
Just south of London, yeah. So I'm down in a place called Tunbridge Wells. It's like the most English sounding town ever. So we're about 45 minutes south of London. 45
minutes south. Are you near the beach?
No. So we're sort of like inland from there. So you'd have to go another couple hours down south to hit any sea. So
even Brighton?
Well, yeah, we're not too far from Brighton. Yeah,
okay.
So we're probably about an hour and a half north of Brighton.
Oh, you're an hour and a half north of Brighton. Okay. Yeah, I used to work in Southampton a lot. And,
oh, nice. Portsmouth, what are we doing over there?
All those beautiful locations.
Yeah, the classic British seaside town. I shouldn't say too much. But,
I was a male escort, and oh,
nice.
Those British women, they need it. So no,
I won't say any more on British women.
I won't say anything either because I lived in Islington in London for about 6 years.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, back and forth. Nice. So I didn't when I lived there, I didn't know people work out in England.
No, it's a rare thing. No, it's massive, mate. It's absolutely huge. But I think over the last few years, it's definitely been on the upward trend.
It just seemed it seemed like when I lived there, everybody just drank and then looked up at the sky and went, "Oh, it's going to rain again."
Yeah, or if they didn't, or at least a discussion about when it was going to rain again. Possibly rain tomorrow. It hasn't rained today, but the weather's going to be poor tomorrow.
Yeah,
90% of conversation.
I walked out of my flat one day and I looked up and it was like the sunniest sky I'd ever seen, and I went, "Oh my god, what a nice day!" And some guy just walked right past me and he goes, "Just wait, mate, just wait."
That's it, the eternal optimist. But yeah. I mean, mate, it's been like, 27 degrees C here, which I don't know what that is in your language, but I think that's probably like 80, 90.
I don't know. I only know grams.
Oh, nice. Okay, so it's probably like 30 grams worth of heat. But no, it's been a really nice day. It's been like surprising. So, and then as soon as that happens, it's not necessarily good for in a pandemic, because everyone in the UK then flocks to any available green space. You'd have experienced this in London. So, there's been a bit of that happening today. But
I kind of got the impression that like the only people that exercised in England when I was there were like people that were into sport, that like really were like competing in sport, or like military people. And everybody else was just like, I'll go to the pub and eat chips and drink beer.
No, I think that's probably the stereotype. I think we're not too far behind you guys in America. I mean, whereabouts in America are you? Because I know that in like the West Coast, there's like a huge, huge workout culture.
Yeah, I'm West Coast, and it's like an obsession.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, you've come up in a place where it's just like the absolute norm. But I think now there's definitely, there's definitely more. It's more sort of expected now here in the UK. But, for example, like we just had like our Prime Minister made an announcement today about the gyms continuing to be shut for a few weeks. And there's been like social media outrage about it. So I think it's like going to the gym is in the UK is still the most popular form of exercise for the average person, average Brit. So,
but tell me if I'm wrong, because I could be, and I am quite often. It's amazing how often I'm wrong. I probably could break records, but when I lived over there and doing I'm a stand-up comedian for a living. But
yes.
When I would do comedy, there's a more intellectual audience in the UK than there is the United States, and
we just trick you with the accent. That's the problem.
No, there's a better usage of the language than in America, and so I got the impression that we're more vain. Like Americans are more about our look, and we're superficial. And Americans are all about plastic surgery and looking good, and looking young, and working out and vanity. So I would think that if the Brits are into working out, it's more for health.
I don't know. I mean, I'd still say that the average person who's come to me since I've owned my gym, I still say that the majority will come and say, they want to, it's still the sort of like classic, I want to lose weight, tone up sort of thing. Yeah. So, it depends how much you sort of place that on vanity and how much you place on wanting to be fit and healthy. I think there's definitely been more of a shift recently to, that sort of health is wealth mindset, particularly just like in our sort of little sphere of influence within London. That's definitely been more of a shift. So maybe you're right. And like you said, I mean, we never get any good weather anyway. So what there's not that many like sunny beach days that we need to show off for. Whereas if you're in California, you're probably going to focus on it a little bit more.
So I took some time out from the show because I found it a very important cause. I found on Instagram that I think is really good for all CrossFitters, and I think we need to take note of. We, as CrossFitters, we all I don't know if I can even use that word anymore. As whatever we are now, there are some things that as a community we do really well and come together, and found, or I don't know if you came to me or I came to you or how we found each other, but this is like the All Britain episode because it's everyone on here is British, and this guy not only is he British, his name is Britton, Scott Britton. Scott, you've come up with a charity. I'll let you talk about it because I'll bastardize it. So tell me about it.
Yeah, so around about 3 years ago, we saw that we needed to do an event that would bring people together. And obviously the CrossFit fitness, functional fitness, whatever we're going to call it, community is just such a huge thing. And we've all been touched by cancer. The stat says 1 in 2, where in fact it's actually an awful lot more than that. And, you know, in the US alone, there's around about 700,000 deaths a year from cancer. You know, you times that by 3 for everybody that's diagnosed. It's multiple millions of people that are touched. So we came up with this idea that cancer doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if you're a games athlete. It doesn't care if you've just started doing some fitness like a week ago. So we wanted to come up with a concept that was a competition and a challenge. So our events are all 4 9-minute workouts, but everybody does the same movement. And we've been so blessed to have games athletes there. We've had Olympic athletes. We've had people who've never trained before come. It's always teams of 4. So you're always in a big group.
Can I interrupt for a second? Can you give me an example of one of the workouts?
Oh, okay. I could do I wonder if we could do a sneak peek of one of the ones that we've got coming up.
Oh, yeah. Sneak peek.
For when we're allowed these back again, but they are on their way. So yeah, we the only stuff that we don't use plates, we don't use gymnastics. So everything is like lightweight kettlebell, dumbbell, sandbags, and just plates. Lots of fun bodyweight movements. We invented things like the under over. You do lots of piggybacks, carries, wheelbarrows. So yeah, to give you like an example of an absolutely stonking one. You're always in teams of 4. So what you've got to do in this one is you've got shoulder to overhead, ground to overhead, and sit-ups. But every 90 seconds as a team of 4, you've all got to do a lane sprint. But one of those lane sprints, you're carrying your partner on your back. So as 4, 2 of you are sprinting, but 2 of you are doing a carry. And you do that AMRAP of the shoulder to overhead, ground to overhead, and sit-ups in synchro with your team of 4. So you've got to work together as a team. Every 90 seconds, you got to dump it and go. And the score is how many lane sprints you get to do and how much of the AMRAP you get through the work. So all the movements are things that people can very intuitively do. You don't need to have a technical ability. There's no, snatch ladder. There's nothing like that. And we've just seen people absolutely end themselves in how much they give it because it becomes a big release for people. So our events, not only are they a fundraiser, and we've managed to fundraise around $800,000 in the past 3 years through the events, they're also a huge draw to bring people together who've lost, who've battled, who've had individual touches with cancer, and we're all there in relation to empathy, not sympathy, and that's what's helped us grow. And I mean, pre-COVID, we had events last year in 7 different countries. We had a US tour where we went to 65 locations, and
wow.
We've been busy, and there's only like 3 of us that run it, so we just get to hop on, and next year we've got a US city series, so small events that are going to happen in Houston, in Miami, in LA, in San Diego, as real great touching points. And we had a great attendance at Wodapalooza this year, and they're really gracious and giving us a great amount back for 2021. So we just want to get connecting with people more and more through Battle Cancer.
So how do people sign up to do this, or they donate money? What do they do?
Yeah, so you got a couple of different ways to support us. One is just some eyes and shouting about us. So read about us if you visit the website, which is battlecancer.com. Shout about us on Instagram and connect with us and just share your story. Tell us. We've connected with people all across the world and how they've used fitness as a result, as a way of getting back stronger mentally and physically from illness. Also, donations. So we do have something called the Move Forward program, which is just an incredible thing that started in Northern Ireland about 3 years ago. And we now have taken that on and we're growing that through fundraising, which is where we completely fund cancer survivors for 10 weeks to have fitness classes. They get a care package, they get a travel subsidy, and then at the end of that 10 weeks, a number of them are selected to become fitness coaches, and they carry that on then for the next 2 years of that program. So you have somebody who's been a cancer survivor, they've been there, they've done it, and they're inspiring cancer patients right now to get back fit again. So you can head to battlecancer.com, you can check us out on Instagram, and you can donate a couple of dollars, which is just great. Or connect with us if you're a gym owner, you're a box owner, if you're a coach and you want to get involved in the program and launch it where you are. We really want to hear from people.
And so they can launch the program, like they could do an event like this at their gym?
Yeah, so we currently fundraising. We've got a goal of $60,000, which allows us to put on 11 of these across the world. And that's where it's the travel subsidy, it's the coaching hours, but we've got some locations that are saying we just want to run this, put us in connection with people and we want to run it. and we give them a small boost in relation to financially getting people in the door and getting, like I say, the care packages. Because people, when they've been hit by cancer, one of the, other than physical, like financial situations, jobs, health insurance, especially in the US, all those kind of things really hit people, and they become a barrier to actually stepping back into fitness to get them really, truly back to normal. So we just want to create an amazing network of people. And as we get the funds in, we get more programs running.
It sounds great. Not to ask you anything. I mean, not to get personal, and you don't have to answer this, but was there a reason that you got involved with this? Was there something to do with cancer, or you're just a super benevolent guy?
Yeah, so I mean, I get asked that a lot, and it was growing up. So I always remember as a kid, if you asked me like what you should do at a wedding, I'd like have no clue. If you asked me what to do at a funeral, I was like bang, bang, bang. So I'd had way more funerals than I'd had weddings, and they were always to do with cancer. So it was always extended family members. And when I was younger, I lost my grandfather. But I'd never had this like crazy internal thing or like long going battle. I just wanted to make a bit of a difference, and doing personal challenges like just didn't bring that much money and didn't bring that much awareness. So when we actually made the events in the past 3 years of doing this full time whilst working in emergency services and now doing it full time, the connection to people that we've seen, we've lost people, we know people close actually in Teen Battle Cancer that's going under radiotherapy right now. It's become just a huge passion for us to just keep going. So yeah, I don't have like a crazy connection. It's been more of a lifelong thing that cancer pops up and punches me in the face every now and again.
It punches everybody. So how we can go to battlecancer.com.
Yep. Battlecancer.com.
Everything there will get you involved. You know exactly what to do. It's self-evident when the website will get you going and get you started.
Yeah, so we've got everything about events. You can check out videos of our events across Europe, our US tour. It links through to Instagram, so you can check us out on Instagram. And also you can see full about the Move Forward program. And on there, we've got interviews with people who have actually done the Move Forward program, including Bernadette. She had to have part of a leg amputated to remove a cyst when she was 18. She's on the Move Forward program for the past 2 years, and she's a great athlete. She's now a fantastic ambassador and coach in Move Forward, and it's got her story in there as well. So, and we also have the ability for people to contact us. So it's like a one-stop shop of getting to know us.
Well, thank you for doing what you do. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. This is not something we usually do. So, like I said, cancer's touched us all, and I think it's something that is great for any gym, any community, any individual to get involved with. So check them out at battlecancer.com. And thanks, Scott. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, I was reading today an article about COVID, and it was saying how they did all this testing in San Francisco and these areas, and they basically found through all the testing that COVID's a disease of poverty. Like the poorer you are, and the worse off you are in this situation because of different reasons. And it just, to me, you could kind of like the correlation is people of poverty are less healthy than wealthier people. And, you know, they're living in worse conditions. They don't eat as well. They don't have the opportunity to exercise. They have to work harder. They don't get as much sleep. And so it is a disease of poverty, but it's also a disease of unhealthiness. So like if you just work on being healthy, and if everybody focused on that a lot more, then this virus wouldn't be so potent.
Yeah, well, I think that's undeniable, isn't it? I mean, if you look at like a number of different diseases, how many of those could be, you know, completely preventable or certainly minimized through just, you know, living a healthier, more active lifestyle? I think that's, you know, that's it's almost like ubiquitous amongst, you know, those sorts of diseases. But it's
look at that. You just said ubiquitous. Do you know how often you hear
that is the only big word I know.
No, so Americans.
I've used it in the first 10 minutes. So that's it.
90% of the people listening to this show just went, what the fuck did he just say? They don't know.
It's a made-up word. It doesn't have any meaning.
It's a great word.
It's a fake word.
Do you ever see the Seinfeld where George uses a big word and Jerry looks at him and he goes, how long have you been waiting to use that?
Oh, mate, I've been waiting. I was driving home today and I was like, ubiquitous, just getting it in.
Yeah, I just don't understand why the government, all they talk about is like looking for a vaccine when they should be going, all right, everybody, time to stop eating shit food, start getting outside. And
Well, we're here in the UK. I mean, today's announcement was, again, this is from the Prime Minister, is priority, in terms of like hierarchy of priorities, pubs, they're opening on the 4th of July. And the announcement for gyms is it'll be sometime mid-July. So they've literally gone, right, so we've restricted like the 2 meter rule, but now they're administering like this like 1 meter plus rule, which is a little bit sort of like vague. But they're far more conscious about getting the pubs reopened before they are the gyms.
That's
hilarious. And it's crazy because obviously like in a pub, how
close
can
are you to a person?
How close are you? Whereas in a gym, and particularly like in our sort of gyms as well, like most of them are big, light industrial like units where we can mark out the floor, we can monitor exactly where the traffic comes in and comes out, we can monitor the timings on when they come in, and it's just. But again, like the government have kind of just like in the UK at least have just lumped all gyms together, regardless of style or sort of. They just haven't really thought about like the practical side of it. So again, you were saying about how most Brits just go to the pub. Well, maybe that's point in case. Maybe that's just been proven today.
Yeah, well, it's different here because we had a phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 opening. In phase 1 of the opening, like the Globo gyms were in phase 1, where the CrossFit gyms were in phase 3. And this just shows you how corrupt government is in America. The reason that the Globo gyms opened before the CrossFit gyms, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I read into this and I think I'm pretty right about this. The phase 1, I read an article about the owner of Crunch Fitness and getting together with all these gyms, and they hired lobbyists and they spent a lot of money, and the lobbyists go to the government and say, hey, do you need money for your campaigns? Well, we want to open in phase 1. Whereas CrossFit gyms, and if you look at both things and you'd go, which one would cause more COVID? I would think a Globo gym 10 times more than a CrossFit gym. Okay. Yeah. So why is CrossFit in 3? Because they don't give a fuck about the health. That has nothing to do with how the government does its business. It all has to do with money. So in knowing just that little thing from being in our world, just know that the government doesn't have your back at all. And any of the decisions they make are not in your best interest. It's in their best interest. So Crunch opening and Gold's Gym opening first is for them so that they can make money. It's not like, well, we analyzed this and we figured out that blah, 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 that there's a rate of transmission is lower. No, it has nothing to do with that.
No.
Nothing.
It'd be great. It'd be great to see their, supposed studies or just sit in the room with them and just pin them down and be like, objectively, can you explain why? Right. Explain your logic to us. Yeah.
So just that little sampling says to me, you're on your fucking own. Figure this shit out by yourself and figure out how you're going to keep yourself safe, because the government's not doing it for you.
That lobbying thing is really, really bizarre. I find that it's quite like I don't want to say uniquely American thing, but I mean, we certainly don't hear about it anywhere near as much here. I'm sure there's a lot of like dodgy behind the scenes things that happen, but the fact that it is just so, well known and just part, obviously, of your like governmental structure.
Yeah.
The fact that you can just have you can have a private company going to, a politician and just saying, well, look, here's X million dollars. There's no way that they're going to be able to remain, neutral or objective. It's mental.
Money buys influence in politics, and it was a Supreme Court decision called Citizens United, where they basically said that it was an infringement of your what's it called? Your freedom of speech to prevent people from donating money to campaigns to get their voice out. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. It's not really an infringement of speech. It's an infringement of action, isn't it?
Look, I see both sides of it, though, because the way they looked at it is like Michael Moore can go out there and make a liberal movie against conservative politicians, and no one can stop him. A $1 million film, multi-million-dollar film that can tarnish them. So why can't they go out and make, like, say, commercials or whatever against a Republican politician? So your money as a special interest goes, I don't want to get into this bullshit.
But I think, creating a movie or media or, a propaganda film that's very, very different from directly handing money to a politician.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But
because at the very least, if you create, you could watch any. Can I swear on this? Am I allowed to swear?
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
you dumb cunt.
Oh, mate, hey, that's the word that we Brits and the Aussies are only allowed to use. You're not allowed to use that in America. That's our word. But I could watch any bullshit thing on YouTube. I could what I've been finding quite interesting, obviously from a British perspective, with all the stuff that's going on in America at the moment, is watching a CNN news article video, and then watching exactly the same topic but from Fox News. Because in our country we don't have. I mean, people probably don't know this. We don't have that. I mean, you can say what you want about the BBC, and it tends to be more left leaning than right, but on the whole, they're probably quite, quite moderate. And it's just been fascinating to see how these news look, and it's mental. And you're like, how's that? They shouldn't be able to call themselves news.
No, it's not.
It's not news.
It's not news.
The news should be again, neutral, just reporting what is happening without having any sort of slant on it.
The Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee issue talking points every day. Every day they send out in the morning talking points, and they send it to all of the newscasters on their so-called side. So Republicans will send to Fox and the Democrats will send it, and they're like, this is what we want to talk about, because they want everybody on the same page talking about the same thing to drive a narrative. It's criminal.
But the thing is that surely, again, from an outside looking into how the US is structured like that, surely you guys know that it's a big game anyway. So anything, you must always have that in your head. If you're watching Fox News or if you're watching CNN, if you're on either side, surely you're watching that knowing, oh yeah, they've obviously got their angle that they're continuing, or the narrative that they're trying to drive, or do people just sort of
I think people have too much shit going on in their life, and they pick a side, and they just wake up and they watch their side. I always watch both, because I always say the truth is somewhere halfway in the midded.
I completely agree.
And you watch both, and you're like, all right, I got to hear this guy's side. I would say this: it's like it'd be like going to court and you're the judge and you only listen to the plaintiff. You never listen to the defendant, or you only listen to the defendant, and then you make your decision. You can't do that. You have to listen to both sides and then decide.
But people haven't got time.
People listen to either the plaintiff or the defendant, and then they're like, I got it. And they always listen to the plaintiff, or they always listen to the defendant. And it's just brutal. And then they just fight with each other. And
do you not have any centralists? Do you not have any moderate news?
No.
Or,
I mean,
not a single one.
You have to work so hard to find it in America. I listened to a podcast called Left, Right, and Center, which is you got a guy on the left, a girl on the left, a guy on the right, and a guy in the middle. And they all discuss things. And then I've been listening recently, Joe Rogan talked about The Rising, which is a conservative guy and a liberal woman, and they're basically both anti-establishment. But that's how you get it. And I feel like in CrossFit, the same thing has happened. It's been torn down the middle of, it's almost bipartisan now in CrossFit. You've got anyone that's heavily Republican conservative is sticking with CrossFit, like Glassman can do what he wants. He owns the company. It's a private company. Men will be men, boys will be boys. So what, blah, blah, blah. And then on the left is this, no, there has to be equality. There's too much money at the top. There's inequality in the financing. There's inequality in the way women are treated, in the way that the African Americans are treated. And so you've got it's basically being split, which is starting to scare me that this is happening in all parts of American culture and possibly global culture, that is creating some kind of civil war. And I don't believe it's a race war at all. I believe it's a class war. It's the haves against the have-nots. And Glassman's a have. And the affiliates are have-nots. And they're going, wait a minute, you've got $40 million in your pocket, and we're struggling to break a profit. I mean, I have so many gym owner friends who, sure, they have some equity. They own a gym. They pay rent. And every month they're like, are we going to make rent? And especially during COVID. And then they had this guy that told them, oh, you're going to make tons of money. You're going to be an independent owner. You're going to be an entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. You're going to have, this is going to be the greatest thing ever.
I think, see, I'm by no means, like you said about how, there's been like this rift in the middle. And it seems to be, you could look at it from the view of, you have, like you said, like more right wing side of people tend to be staying with CrossFit and then left. I'm by no means like left wing, but I think if things are self-evident, they tend to be self-evident for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be as objective as I can. I think if I'm putting Glassman's hat on, is that he never made promises of offering affiliates or gym owners any support. So we all knew as gym owners that when we were going into it, we knew that we were parting with our $3,000 for effectively being able to use that trademark and being able to use that name in what we were operating under. And, there have never been any other, he's never like, there's been no false promises in terms of that there will be any support. In fact, he has outwardly said that he is a rabid libertarian. And, there is the sort of the businessman side of me and the entrepreneurial side of me that goes, well, yeah, that's his MO as his business. He can obviously run that however he wants. However, as a customer of his, as an affiliate owner, I am his customer, just like my members are my customers. And, ultimately if that's the game that he is playing, then within that game, then I make my moves and I have my sway with my pounds or my dollars. So ultimately, what I and obviously a lot of other gyms have done is gone, no, we don't want to be in that game anymore, and we don't support what you're doing for whatever reason, depending on whatever the political hat that you have on. It could be for a number of reasons, because I think all these things are always multifaceted. So it could be because of their poor business practices. I mean, I think for every person that affiliated on the back of his infamous Floyd 19 tweet, there were probably just as many that saw the email that he sent to the Rocket. In Seattle. Like, I mean, that was really, I mean, before I made the decision to de-affiliate, before I even saw the Floyd 19 tweet, because my view on it was that could have so easily been me. That could have been me sending what. I mean, I'm sure you've probably read it. It was
I did. It
was lengthy. For a start,
sure.
But it was very well written. It was extremely constructive. It wasn't, it wasn't aggressive. And I don't know, and again, trying to remain objective, I don't know what their prior history was, and apparently there is some. However, all those things considered, you cannot then send a response to someone, even in just like a professional sense, with calling someone evil and all of these other things that he had in there. Because that could have been me, that could have been any other affiliate owner. And it just shows that he has, if anything, just a complete lack of respect for, his customer and his customer base. And then all the other things that then came out after that, it was just self-evident that this is not something that, that sits well with me. It certainly, I know for a fact, it certainly didn't sit well with like my community at my gym at Royal Docks, because, we're in East London and we are, we're a complete melting pot there. And it just didn't feel right. And, I think when you sort of laid it all out on the table, in terms of all of those things I've just discussed, but then also like, what were we actually getting from CrossFit anyway? It just made the decision, relatively straightforward for us.
Well, like I said, among all these things, I listen to both sides, and I feel like the truth. And as you should. I feel like the truth is somewhere in the middle. When I saw that as a comedian, I thought, if I got a letter like that, I have so much shit going on in my day, I would have been like, fuck off. Like, I don't have time to address this. Like, I know you have all these things, but again, that would be one of my fans saying that to me. And I have gotten those letters that they're like, you said this and you did this and this is why. And I'm just like, oh, you know what? Just go jump off a bridge. I've had, but that's because I don't own a multi-million-dollar company, and I'm not a politician. Like when Trump says shit back to people like that, I'm like, dude, you can't do that. You've decided to take this position that holds responsibility that you cannot. I mean, like Glassman, if you don't want to answer it, have someone under you answer.
It wasn't even addressed. Correct me if I'm wrong. It wasn't even addressed to him.
Oh, really?
It wasn't even. I might be wrong and someone might correct me, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't addressed to him. I believe that he just like picked it up.
Yeah. And I think, but in another world where social media doesn't exist, this wouldn't have happened either, because nobody would have known that letter got to him and that he made that comment. I mean, a few people would have like, look at what he said back to me. And people would have been like, that's atrocious. Let's do something about this. And then they'd contact two other gyms would be like, oh,
stop.
Right.
Yeah.
So we are living in mob mentality where all of a sudden people get to go, let's all move together, and everybody moves. And then there's this like drastic movement one way and drastic movement another way. And it's how do you navigate this kind of world? And
well, I had this discussion with one of my members, and she, if we're talking about like the spectrum from left to right, she would probably admittedly be much more on the left. And I sat in on we made the decision to de-affiliate, but then we still got invited into this massive Zoom call with, I think it was 250 to 300 other UK affiliate owners. And there were a few people from like HQ that were sitting in there as well. And my member had caught wind that this Zoom call had happened. And then she then texted me that night and was like, what's their stance? Are they all going to leave? And I was like, no, they're not all going to de-affiliate. And she was like, that's terrible. Why are they not? And I was like, because these things are complex. I was like, there's, it's not a knee-jerk reaction is not actually the right thing to do. Because,
right.
Because depending on each individual gym, which is an independently owned business, there are so many things to consider. What are the insurance implications? What happens like if you've got full-time coaches and they only have CrossFit qualifications, like CrossFit coaching qualifications? What does that mean?
Yeah.
And just because we made that decision quickly, because I and the coaches at Raw Docs, we kind of felt that we weren't that reliant on the CrossFit brand anyway. And we've done quite a lot of work to try and build our own space and brand anyway. But if you're a 4-month-old affiliate in a small town, like I can understand the hesitance at least. Like I don't think that extreme knee jerks or do you know what I mean? There has to be a level of like practicality and objectivity what's going on as well, because ultimately if that gym makes a knee-jerk reaction to leave, and then ultimately for whatever reason that means that they go out of business, well then they can't help anyone. So again, it's never black or white. Do you know what I mean? There is always this like massive grey area in between, and I think it's important that just because I've set up this the Functional Fitness Union, I'm by no means saying this is the only way, because that's fool's thinking. That's not what it is.
You guys looking to lose weight? Huh? Yeah. Almost everybody that goes to a gym is looking to lose weight, unless you're bulking up like I am and you want to play offensive tackle for the New England Patriots. No, I'm just joking. I want to lose weight. Everybody wants to lose weight, and we all know what's the way to do it. You got to pay attention to your diet. And you got to pay attention to your calories. And sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes you think you're doing it right, but you're not. You want to lose fat. You want to build muscle. You want to maintain or optimize your performance and recovery. Here's where you're going to go. The RP, which stands for resistance periodization. They've been around for a long time, RP. And they've got a diet app that's going to help you towards any goals you may have. The app builds you a customized diet based on your goals, timeline, lifestyle, training, and individual body type. It constantly adapts via recommended weekly diet adjustments based on your progress and goals. Though you have the power to speed up, slow down, or stay course with your diet. Metabolic Learning adjusts your future diets based on your results from previous diets with powerful algorithms made by top industry sports science nutrition experts. Okay? Coaches you and helps you stay on course. Food diary to help you keep track of your meals. Automated meal timing to optimize your progress and reduce your hunger. Meal reminders to help you maintain the diet. A shopping list to simplify weekly meal prep if you choose to do so. Basically, this is going to make you a robot. This is going to give you it's going to tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And if you pay attention to this, yes, you will lose weight. I'm not guaranteeing that, because you might do something and not even realize what you're doing. But for the most part, when I mean that, I mean like if you deviate from this, obviously. But what I'm saying is if you follow this thing and do what it tells you to do and follow it, you're going to lose weight. All right. So to start your 14-day trial, it's available on Android and iOS. Go to, let's see, where do we have it? You're going to go to, you're going to get the app, and it's the RP Diet app. Okay. So go to Android or iOS. You're going to go to the App Store. You're going to get the app. Then you're going to use Wadcast to get your first 6 months at $9.99 a month versus the regular $14.99 a month. That's a good break, guys. That's $5 a month. Then you can take that $5 and put it on our Patreon. But so if you put in Wadcast, you're going to get literally you get the first 6 months like $5 off a month. So it's $9.99. And it's going to do all this stuff for you. Go check out the app, play around with it, and see what I'm talking about. And you will see that if you follow this thing, you're definitely going to lose weight. You're going to build muscle. You're going to do all the things that your goals are set out to do. So check it out, RP Diet app. So it's Renaissance Periodization. Hey guys, today's show is sponsored by Wodify, which is by far the best all-in-one gym management software for your CrossFit box. If you're a gym owner, I want you to visit Wodify.com/Wadcast, and you're going to get 20% off Wodify Core for 1 year. That's 20% off. Go to Wodify.com/Wadcast. You're going to get 20% off Wodify Core for 1 year. Okay. There is some great stuff at Wodify. Obviously, they've got your class reservation and sign-in system that we've all used. They've got the easy-to-use waivers and contracts that you just initial online, do all that stuff right there in the gym. They've got dedicated mobile apps for members to track performance and reserve classes. Especially right now with what's going on with COVID, you might have to keep your class sizes very small to abide by all the regulations and laws of your city, county, state, whatever it is. So this can really help you out. They've got video embedding in workouts to support remote programming. So if you're still not open and you want to get people of your members of your gym able to see what your programming is that day, there's video embedding so you can make a video, put it in there, show it to them through that. Here are some of the people they work with. I just want to mention that every single one of them has been a guest of the Wadcast podcast, and I look up to these people. I think they're all very, very successful, positive members of this community and hashtag community. And these people are smart enough to use Wodify. Jason Kalipa uses it with his incredibly successful NC Fit. You got Pat Barber, who's my favorite person in the whole world. We all know that. And Miranda and Julian Alcaraz use it over there at Street Parking, which is one of the most successful platforms for programming. It's got an all-in-one gym management software. It's designed for CrossFit specifically. You get your classes, your appointments, your billing, your waivers, your reporting, and much more. And here's the best part. Transparent pricing. There's no hidden fees. You're not going to get a bill and be like, where'd this come from? You know, right there up front. And you can switch software easy. Wodify's done it with thousands of gym owners, and they provide a dedicated onboarding specialist to help you out with this. It's ideal for any gym size. It doesn't matter if you've got 4 members or 400 members, and it can integrate with QuickBooks, Zapier, MailChimp, and many other softwares. And they've got world-class support, webinars, and e-learning academy, and other helpful resources. Okay? There are different products, okay, that are available at Wodify. They've got Wodify Perform, and they've got Wodify Perform is a proven retention tool. Clients who track their workout performances are 3 times more likely to renew their memberships. It promotes engagement. It improves attendance accuracy, keeps clients motivated. They've got Wodify Sites. That's another one. That's another fully integrated website for your gym. It's got seamless integration with Wodify Core. And for a limited time, there's no setup fee for new customers, and it's SEO optimized. It loads really fast. It's clean. It's great. So check out Wodify Sites. Then they've got Wodify Marketplace. They've also got Wodify Pulse. I'm not going to go into what the difference. You go to their site, check it out. There's all these different products that you can buy from Wodify. And like I said, there's 20% off your first year of Wodify Core if you mention Wadcast Podcast on the intro or demo call. Visit Wodify.com/Wadcast for more information. That's Wodify.com/Wadcast for more information. Prior to this, when you said to me, we've already set up our own thing, and you were mad when you saw the letter before the Floyd 19 comment. I think there are a lot of gyms, you might be one of them, that already had enough going on that this was just, and I think with so many, this was just the straw that broke the camel's back, where they were looking for an out. This was their easy out. And a lot of the gyms that didn't de-affiliate just never had those problems. And so I doubt there were very many that left just on that team.
I agree.
I think this was either a long time coming or, not at all. But, for a long time I've thought, and I just look, I sit back and watch. I'm an observer. I've never been a Kool-Aid drinker. I've always been 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But I've been watching, and I've always thought that there would ultimately be an evolution of CrossFit where it gets hybridized, it gets bastardized. People start going off and teaching their own versions of it. It'll be hard for them to control. They will always exist, but it's kind of happening. And I don't know, CrossFit might power through this and do really well, and all these other entities might also. Some might die off. But what you're doing, I always thought would ultimately happen. In fact, I thought it would happen in the name that you have it happening. So it's funny. When I saw Functional Fitness Union, I was like, knew this was going to fucking happen.
The funniest thing is the amount of messages I've got being like, love the name, F you, and I was like, oh no, I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh no, it's too late as well now. The funniest thing is originally I wanted just Fitness Union, which would have literally just been F you, but that was already taken. So,
well, I think functional fitness encapsulates it a little more, and I always thought, I heard that they were trying to unionize the athletes a long time ago, so that the athletes would have a little more say in the games and a little more say in the way it was run, so that, just like the NFL or any other sport, you need a players union because the players have to start protecting themselves as far as injuries and drug testing and whatever it may be. But that way, they're not completely controlled by this entity.
Or just being used as a commodity.
Explain before I don't ever explain it and talk too much. Explain what is your functional fitness union?
So essentially, when I made the decision to de-affiliate Raw Docs, the first thing that sort of came to mind was, yes, that's great, and we've made that decision, but it was that inevitable, well, now what? And one of, if not the best things about CrossFit, obviously to their credit, is the global network and community, which has obviously been built around that. So, you can come over to London and drop into any CrossFit gym, and even though each CrossFit gym is independently owned and has its own flavor of doing things, you kind of know, what to expect and what that community vibe should feel like. So really I was like, well, it didn't sit comfortable with me that I felt that we were making, a bit of a stand, and arguably, depending on your viewpoint, we felt that we were doing the right thing. And it didn't feel, just that we were set to in some way lose out. So I sort of sat there and, I talked to my wife and talked to a few others, and I was like, and just like you, I was like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen now. I wonder if anyone's going to come up and do something. And then it just kind of just snowballed very quickly in my mind. And I was like, well, do you know what? What have I got to lose in trying to set something up myself? Raw Docs has got a reasonably good reputation. I've, over the last 5 or 6 years, built up a number of good contacts within our space. So I thought, someone's got to, bear the load and try. And that's what I've done. So obviously it's only been going for 2 weeks. It's only been, we're literally, I think this is day 15. And I was very conscious about trying to get something out incredibly quickly. So I just got a Squarespace site up within within 20 minutes. and set up the Instagram profile, and then just started like trying to connect and reach out to people. Now, the FFU is very much biased in the view that I am, now a former affiliate owner, and I know the struggles and the strife that gym owners go through, and I know that from what I've heard and the fallout from all of the CrossFit stuff is that more affiliate owners wish that they had more support from CrossFit. So there's obviously a huge want and desire for both belonging to something bigger than themselves, belonging to something like it formerly CrossFit and now hopefully the FFU, but then also wanting that support network built into it as well. In my opinion, the $3,000 that we were spending, that we were giving to CrossFit every year for the use of obviously the trademark and being able to say that we're doing CrossFit, I used to see a lot of that value, that $3,000 being spent on the amazing content and media that they used to produce. Now, obviously, people in our space know that got axed, 18 months ago, whenever it was. So already in my head, when that happened, that was raising question marks in terms of, well, what's my money being spent on? Because it used to be, I remember when I started getting involved in CrossFit in 2011 and 2012, that, it was the content first and foremost that drew me in. Mm. It was the amazing success stories that you saw, or it was like, the behind the scenes of the games and all these amazing things. So that's the first thing that with the FFU, I've already got like my creative team already set up. So we already have a creative director and we already have head of media, and we spent all day today like shooting stuff, and we've already got like our initial campaigns lined up where we're going to be going around, obviously locally to start with, to several London gyms who've already joined the FFU. And the idea is to like get that grassroots going, get that grassroots project going from now. So there is content which is going to be beneficial to everyone who's part of the FFU. Now, in addition to that, and again, it's very early days, but I've had some amazing conversations with individuals and companies and providers of offering a gym owner support package. And the way that, again, it's very early days, but the way that we perceive that to work is there will always be a free, a free entry-level position that you can have within the FFU, so long as you align with our vision, you align with certain policies, committing to like inclusivity and those sorts of things. And then on top of that, if you then feel that you need, additional support, let's say that you're a brand new gym and you have no idea how to set up your insurance for the gym, and you have no idea how to structure a liability waiver. Well, we can then have, it's almost like an a la carte menu. It's almost like a buffet where you can go, right, well, here's a package where it's, $75, and then that then gets me immediate aid from someone from the FFU that can then tell me how to set up my liability waiver and structure it correctly. So they have that option instead of being like, here's $3,000 every year, hands off, and now what? It's like, well, if you did have a $3,000 a year budget for an affiliate, you could have 600 members and you don't need any help, and that's fantastic. So if you're like joining the FFU, you join for free, and then you still benefit from our media and all those lovely things, and obviously that global network. If you are that brand new gym, or if you are that, gym that just needs a little bit more support, then there should at least be the option for that individual sort of like seek that advice out as well. So it's by no means like, they're not going to be setting up as like, a free handout space, but there should be that autonomy, given to the gym owner to make the decisions on what they want, and, to give them that support. Because I've been that gym owner that's worked 6 months, 14-hour days forever. And it's, it can be hard. And, I'm sort of sympathetic to that. And I think that, Glassman's view was very much about the cream will rise to the top, which, in our society may be the case. But it would be better off, instead of having that as your mindset, maybe the mindset should be, let's get everyone up to the top. Because if everyone's doing really well, then that's going to be good for the FFU. It's going to be good for those independent gyms.
Well, that was one of the arguments way back, was the no quality control. The fact that a gym could open across the street and make you look bad by having bad coaching, and it's fighting you for members. And Glassman said, well, they'll go out of business and you'll do well. And it's like, yeah, but in the meantime, how much damage can they do to your business? And
the whole thing.
Shouldn't there be a way to monitor their performance and say, hey, you're not up to snuff. You're not doing a good enough job. We will take your affiliate away from you if you're not qualifying, if you're not doing and making us look good. And I get that. I see the argument of the affiliates of that. Look, I see a lot of flaws. I see a lot of good things. And I think anytime there's, like a power vacuum like this, people are going to fill it. And I see,
yeah, absolutely.
Like I see what you're doing. I think, Khalipa's trying to do it with, he's put it out there that NorCal Fit, to try to NC Fit, I think he calls it, not NorCal anymore. I think it's NC Fit, and trying to say, hey, we're here. We'll help you. We'll do this. And I'm wondering, and I know, Castro has taken over as CEO of CrossFit, but I don't even know within CrossFit, if there's not coup attempts going on and, like affiliates coming up through CrossFit saying, hey, we need to stay in CrossFit and we need to fix CrossFit.
Yes. And that's definitely been a narrative that I've seen. And, listen, like we've said all the way through this conversation, is like, I don't think it's as simple as right or wrong. And, I can, at least put myself into those affiliate owners' shoes where they go, well, we love this and we want it to, we want to benefit it and we want to see the change. And if we leave, then maybe we can't, administer that change from within. So I can definitely see that logic. I just don't know what's within their sphere of influence within, say if they've got a 200 member gym, they're in control of the quality of what they're offering within their space and what they're offering to their community and to their membership base and to their coaches, etc. I don't know what influence that they will then be able to when they go up the chain. I don't see in the way that CrossFit is currently structured. And in that Zoom call that I sat in, they said it themselves, where for the last 10 years they've been going into these meetings with other people at HQ and going with suggestions and it just fell on deaf ears. So if anything, they've proven that
CrossFit was saying that like no one was listening, or the people complaining were saying no one was listening.
No. So in this Zoom conversation, the affiliate owners were going to the representatives from CrossFit and saying, well, how has it currently been working? And the guys from CrossFit were saying, we have gone forward with suggestions continuously over X number of years, and they've fallen on deaf ears. So my argument would be, knowing that knowledge of how that structurally and systematically the guys at the bottom can't influence the guys further up. How then, the affiliate owner themselves, just on the ground, like boots on the ground, how do they think that they're going to be able to then influence it, above them? I think that's probably the bit where I would then struggle to see perhaps, the fundamental logic within that. And I understand that want to remain part of something which has been amazing for you. And, if you've been in CrossFit for 11, 12 years and you've seen the benefit and you've been part of your gym, which is an amazing community, as most of them are, I completely understand the want to sort of like hold on to that. But I think in anything, like, just because there's been a way that something's been working before doesn't mean that is necessarily the best way. And I think, like you said, that there will inevitably, and there probably should always be, an evolution of some sort. And just to think that, the first crack out that we had of a functional fitness organization was the best. Well, who says? Do you know what I mean? This is a very successful business model, but is it necessarily the most successful for?
Well, I mean, there's definitely been a fragmentation, and there are pieces out there like what you're doing. How many gyms do you have following you so far that are in?
I think we're like 50 plus now, and we've got probably at least another 50 in the pipeline.
That's a big chunk already. And you look at I don't know what Khalipa's doing or anyone else has organized, but I'm starting to see chunks around the place. Look, it's just like anything. It's, the United States motto, united we stand, divided we fall. But sometimes things get too big, and this is what happens. They just start breaking off because they can't handle all of these things. That could be an argument against the United States, that, the states need more rights and it's too big of a federal government, that maybe CrossFit was too big of an organization to oversee all these different gyms globally. And that as they break off into these chunks that gives them more autonomy and gives them more quality control and gives them more. It's going to be this is going to be very interesting to see. One of the things I worry about, though, for people like you is lawsuits. I know that these guys are super litigious. And do you not worry about that?
I've had this conversation several times over the last few weeks. When this goes out, they could say, he's used the word CrossFit, he's done this, he's done that. We're just being really, really careful that with all of our materials that we put out, that we never mention that word. I think also, perhaps CrossFit would have to be, fairly brave to, in this current climate, with their current perception as well, to perhaps go down that route. If it comes, then it comes. But we're just trying to be as sort of careful about not using their trademark and sort of staying away from it. And I understand, and obviously I'm not dumb to their reputation of aggressively pursuing people who use their branding, but if anything, that just shows that just shows obviously the nervousness which has always been there around the company, and perhaps the fragility of it, because he's done. I mean, aside from everything else, Glassman's in terms of a businessman, he's an absolute genius.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the example that I always give to to my members, and I've had this discussion. I have this discussion every year with my coaches. Is the Open. So the CrossFit Open is genius.
Yeah.
They produce maybe 10 to 15 videos every year of the workouts, and then they go, affiliate owners worldwide, run it.
Go.
Get as many people as you can involved in it, because it's great for our community.
$20 a head.
You're going to be on the leaderboard with Matt and Tia. Come on, get on. Yeah. And then what? We then have obviously it's obviously there's a lot of hype around it, and it probably is good for bringing people in and all the rest of it. But ultimately, it's just incredibly well marketed. It's you need to be part of this to be part of the global community. We're going to get 300,000+ people sign up. And by the way, you need judges. Don't forget, you need your judges. That's $10 a head for the online course, and that you're going to probably need 5 or 6 judges per gym for it to really run smoothly.
I'm not going to lie to you. That whole thing seemed a bit churchy to me. It was, here comes the collection basket. Everybody put your $20 in.
Amazing.
Because we're going to buy a new Mercedes for the Prius.
It's perfect.
And
it's amazing.
Because I felt like for the 0.01% that have a chance of going to the games, sure. Yeah.
Fantastic. Go for it. 100%.
But for
100%.
every other person in your gym, just so that their name could be on a database, so that they could search their name and see where they rank among everyone else. If that's your thing, but I don't know if that's worth $20 to me.
No,
I guess everyone is, but I never appreciated the way it was pushed from the affiliate owners.
If you don't do it, you're are you even CrossFit?
Yeah. And I just always saw the encouragement felt like that the brainwashing had gone from up here to here to here. And I was like, this is where and I would never do it. I did it one year where I signed up as a 60-year-old woman, but just to see where.
Where did you place?
Let's not talk about it. I didn't do well. It was an embarrassment. Let's say I did win one event, but
oh, nice.
Yeah, because women, apparently 60-year-old women have trouble squat cleaning 175. But it was. There were events literally where I was not even in the top 150. I mean, I was getting crushed.
It's good to be humbled.
I mean, talk about humbled. So anyway, it's. I don't.
It's a weird time, isn't it?
I know, but I think it's pretty hard to predict the future. It was easy for me before. It was easy for me to say, this is where I see it going. Right now, I have no fucking idea where this thing. I mean, the New York Times just wrote an article, a pretty damning article about about Glassman. I think CrossFit's really going to struggle through this whole thing.
Well, I think the really interesting thing will be where, let's say, for example, that, 2 months ago you renewed your affiliate and you paid $3,000 and you've still got 10 months left of that $3,000 affiliate. Like, their decisions are obviously much harder to make in terms of de-affiliating because you're set to piss away a lot of that money. It'd be really interesting to see over the next sort of like 18-month cycle of who then just naturally allows it to just expire and then doesn't pick it back up. That'll be that's what I mean. So I don't necessarily know if the fallout from it is going to be even that immediate.
But then there's a lot of questions of like, so take someone, let's say a gym that is under the Functional Fitness Union that pays dues or whatever, belongs to it. If it's free right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, free. Yeah, so, there'll always be a free option.
So they belong to it. You're that kind of gym. You're like a Functional Fitness Union kind of certified gym. Where do you get your coaches?
So we've already partnered with a company called the Professional Fitness Coaches Association, PFCA, which is headed up by, there's 4 guys that run it, and one of them is an old university friend of mine, a guy called Ollie Marchin. And they are like the gold standard of like performance coaches. So we are already working with them to set up our own level 1, which is to start with is going to be predominantly online, and it is far more detailed than, for example, the CrossFit level 1. So there will be members who join the FFU at some point are going to be encouraged to go and do our FFU level 1. I can't tell you like whether we're going to insist on it yet, because the honest answer is I don't know. Like, we've already had discussions of maybe that we give people, maybe a 12-month period where, they can look into it and they make the decision. And ultimately, because we are free and we will remain free, they're not set to lose out. I mean, the worst thing to do would for us to be like, we're only $1,500. We're half the price of CrossFit. Come aboard. And then we then turn around and go, now you've got 12 months to do an £800 course or, a $1,000 course. That would just be criminal. So I think it's about giving those gym owners the option. So at the moment, we're giving them that option where they can join us, where they know that like, they're on the train and we're heading somewhere and we're building some stuff and we're building all of our systems and structures. And it is only, again, 2 weeks in.
Sure.
But every day we're making like huge inroads and having amazing conversations. I won't mention any names. I had an amazing conversation with a very prominent gym owner in the US yesterday. And he wants to get on board, and he's got a huge amount of influence. So hopefully, in the next sort of like 3 or 4 days, we'll be able to like get that out in the public ether, and then he's going to help us hopefully drive sort of in that sort of like American market and get that involvement going there as well. I can't remember what your initial question was.
My point was getting your coaches, your certified coaches.
Yes,
like
exactly. But we need to know if we're giving out that FFU badge for them to sort of hang up. We need to know that they are aligning not only from like an equality and inclusion standpoint and all of those lovely things, but also like lest we forget that this is also about fitness and about the quality of coaching. So we need to know that if someone's going to be using that name, that there is a certain standard that is being certain standard of coaching which is being applied in sessions. So again, those are conversations that are being had. It'd be great once we've got the level 1 and ultimately the level 2 on our side, the FFU level 1, level 2 ready, because then it can obviously then be pushed out into the ether. And then again, people can then make an informed decision. And I'm not about just ramming stuff down people's necks to be like, this is now the new way, because that's not how I, as a gym owner, would appreciate being treated. So again, at the moment, it's like we are an option. We are putting these things in place, and there isn't much to lose in my mind at the moment about sort of coming on board and at least sort of like seeing what we're up to and seeing how it could benefit your gym. And also like you said about beforehand, perhaps 1 in 15,000, one of 15,000, sort of like a little dust mote lost in sort of like the ether, but being part of something where you're one text message away from me, and you're one text message away from like the other guys who are sorting this out. And having that sort of like more personal touch while we are at this size, I think that's something which has probably been lost a little bit.
Well, I think that was one of the complaints about CrossFit a lot of times, and from people outside of the CrossFit world, complaining about an L1 cert is like a weekend crash course that all of a sudden somebody pays $1,000 in there. But it's just like anything, you know, before I went to CrossFit, or even now, if I go to a Globo gym in another town, I mean, I don't hire coaches, but I talk to them and I know enough, and I know enough coaches from my experience that you can go in and you'll see coaches and it'll have their resume and you see their certifications, and a lot of them, are bullshit, and some of them are really good. And it's just like a CrossFit gym. You go in and you're like, oh, this coach has an L1. Great. Like I'll let him teach my class, but I'm not going to sit and take Olympic lifting instruction from this guy. I'm not going to take gymnastic from this woman or whatever it is. And then you look down the line and you see a guy who's got an L1, an L2, an L3, an L4. He's got gymnastics. He trained with the Olympic team in weightlifting. He was at the training center.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is my guy. This is
this guy.
This is who I want. But you go back to that L1 and you're like, all right, I'm just going to let this guy say 3, 2, 1, go.
But I think the problem is that for everyone like yourself that pays attention to that, there's probably 7 or 8 people who come in and they're a complete layperson. Like they've got too much other shit going on in their life where they just come in and then they just assume, rightfully or wrongfully, that this individual in front of them is qualified enough to teach me how to do a squat clean. It's like, that there has to be some sort of standard. And I think, I myself have dropped into like many gyms over my time, and I never go in there and go, I own a gym, and B, I never go, I'm a coach, because I just want to go in there and be like, oh, I'm just some dude.
See, I do that, and I don't have either.
Yeah,
when
that's the way you do it. Yeah, you're just honest.
I walk in, I go, I own New England CrossFit, and I am an L4 cert. Don't fuck with me.
I love that. No. I've been there where my favorite story that I've told people a lot, and I won't mention the gym I was at, but it was in Australia, and it was my first ever CrossFit class. Okay, and I shit you not, it went like this, and this is no word of a lie. We congregated together in the middle of the room, not by the whiteboard, and the coach, who was I was about to mention their name. The coach just went, okay, follow Steve and go for a 400-meter run. So we followed one of the regulars, and then we came back in. And then we then met by the whiteboard, and she went down and she went, I can remember the workout was an 18-minute AMRAP, and it was 9, 12, 15, 9 box jumps, 12 shoulder to overhead, 15 toes to bar, 18 minutes. Okay. And then they literally went like this. They went, all right, Dave, you're with Eddie. You're going to follow him around for 18 minutes and cheer him on and count his reps for the first 18 minutes. And then once you then finished, it was then my turn. And then Eddie, you now follow Dave, and you're going to go around and do the same. And that was it. No coaching,
wow.
No nothing. And the really sad thing is that I finished that, and at the time, as a younger guy, I sat there and went, "This CrossFit thing's okay." And I'm someone, and I look back at that now, and I was like, God, like if I saw any of my coaches doing that, or if I just like, it would haunt me knowing that was the standard. That gym was packed. That gym was packed.
We used to call it it's like the gym teacher on hangover day. When the gym teacher comes in, he's like, all right, everybody, just pick sides and you just play soccer. There's the goals. Done. And I think every once in a while that does happen with the bad and good gyms. Like we said, I went to a gym one time in Atlanta where this like 18-year-old kid was coaching. And he just looked horribly out of shape, but like super strong. I've told this years ago. People still make jokes about it on the show, but he had like a 600-pound deadlift, and he was like 18 years old. And I'm like, well, how do you have a 600-pound deadlift? And he goes, Russian mom, German dad. And somebody said to him at one point, how do you do a muscle up? And he goes, here, I'll show you. And he goes, grab on right here. And so they grabbed, he's like, all right, now pull yourself up as hard as you can and just try to get like up above the rings. And I'm watching him. That's how he coached. He's like, just
okay.
like, he's like, just like pull. And he's like, just like, in like, you know, you can like rock your body to get some momentum. And I'm looking at the person that's trying to do it and I'm just shaking my head. I'm not saying, but I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't do what he's saying. Like, get down from there. You're going to get fucking hurt. And I remember walking out of there and just like, I think you could tell like the guy that owned the place that was the owner was the kind of guy that bought a pizza shop because he heard it'll make a lot of money. And you could tell he's never worked out. And he got his L1 cert or didn't even get it, got somebody else to get it. Mm-hmm. And just was like, yeah, I heard this CrossFit thing. You can make a lot of money. It's like Zumba. But I just felt like I'm going to die in there. Like I can't go back to that place. Someone's going to die.
It would have been even funnier if he went, you just pull and get up there, and then they did it. Could you imagine that? Then everyone's like, genius. This 18-year-old guy is like, you know,
I've seen weirdos do that. You know, when you see the guy walk into the gym and do his first muscle up, and you're just like, the worst. I want to punch you in the face for doing that.
I'd kick him out. I'd kick him out of my gym when they do that. I was like, no one wants to see you here. No one wants to see that. Stop showing off. No one likes to show off.
Well, like I said, I can't predict where this is going. I know that. I know it's going somewhere, and more power to you. Like I said, I'm not taking sides on this thing. I did see, like I read this article about Glassman, and I was like, oh fuck. And then I saw a guy write a thing called the case for Glassman about all the good things he's done down in Africa and all the causes that he's supported and the great things he's done. So I am torn. You know, I see both sides, and I get it. And, but I also think, you know, people got to do what they do and go where they want to go, and life's ever changing, and, you know, you just can't look back and you move forward. And looks like you got your plate full though.
A little bit. I'm spinning plates, just spinning plates.
At any moment, once it's got rolling, were you like, what the fuck have I done?
I started it thinking, you know, maybe like a few of the London gyms might come along, and you know it'll be like quite a small little thing, and then it just if anything, it's captivated. It's like got into people's imagination, and then they can sort of see it going. And now, you know, there is that. I do feel that sort of responsibility to, you know, bear the load and try my best for it.
How many gyms are there in the UK? How many CrossFits?
I think there's. Oh, that's a good question. Put me on the spot. I think it's at least. It's got to be at least 400 or 500, if not more.
Yeah, I would think even more.
Yeah, and in London, within like within the M25, there's got to be at least sort of like 40 or 50. So we've got a huge like densely populated like CrossFit population just inside of London. But I mean, the response we've had has been. I honestly thought it was going to be, you know, London and maybe like a few more in and around the UK. But, you know, it just shows obviously with social media, things spread like wildfire. We had obviously the Morning Chalk Up did a little piece on it. So that only got released on their Instagram yesterday, and they published it online on the 21st. And since then, it's literally blown up. Like
so, wait till you see what happens after this.
Oh, I'm excited. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Let me ask, how did they get a hold of you?
So Instagram, so Functional Fitness Union on Instagram, or online is ffunion.org, and the email is info@ffunion.org. Well,
it's been awesome talking to you. I like I said, you got your plates full. The plates you're spinning are full. But anything that can create more quality and get people healthy and whatever, I just, I don't know. It's content for me to talk about. I enjoy it. Anything else. I enjoy it. I just, I'm rooting for you.
Cheers, pal. Thank you.
I'm just hoping everybody can. I don't know what the fuck. We're all going to die. COVID's going to kill us.
We're all gone anyway. I think the thing, like the takeaway, hopefully, is that, you know, make an informed decision. There's another option out there, and, you know, look into us. And if you think that, you know, we're a crock of shit, then that's fine. But, you know, or if you have questions, then just reach out. Or if you have suggestions, reach out. And, you know, if anything else, it's at least an opportunity for us to build on something or evolve something that was there, and it doesn't necessarily mean
one last question. Let's say down the road, 6 months from now, you've got a whole bunch of gyms. You're all working under your name, Functional Fitness Union. Everything's going well. CrossFit cleans up. Glassman divests. Castro, they have a whole new. This is just a hypothetical. Whole new hierarchy of people working there. There's more say from affiliates, and they invite you back in. Mm-hmm. Is that a possibility?
It'd be foolish and silly to say to shut the door. Okay. I would have to see, because that's just, you know, objectively, like, that you'd be fooled to say no. You know, do I believe that's going to happen? You know, time will tell. But I think again, like, and hopefully in that sort of 6 month to a 12-month period or whenever it is, you know, hopefully what we develop and the systems that we put in place, you know, are going to be, you know, far and away better.
Yeah, maybe. Look, I know from my experience in comedy, the more people get involved and the more different ideas and different approaches, things grow and things progress. So maybe this will be good for everybody. Hopefully it will. Thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate it, David. And again, people find you at Functional Fitness Union on Instagram, and probably the best way. That's how I found you on Instagram, and I saw the Morning Chalk Up right up. So that's great. Thanks again, and good luck.
Thank you, mate. Okay. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time.